My name is Jeff, and sometimes these days I call myself Jeff the Painter because I paint houses. When I was younger, I was an art major. Before that, I was a math major, but then I yielded to I don't know if it was my passion or my predilection or both. I don't know. But it was certainly it was at least my predilection or my passion or both. There were a lot of things I was deficient in. Anyway, imagine if this were your title, right? So that's what I call myself when I call myself anything. Besides my proper name, I call myself Jeff the Painter. Imagine, so that could be considered my title, but, imagine if imagine if your title were Saint Archangel Michael. Imagine that. People talk a lot about aliens these days. Aliens? UFOs? UAPs? AUPs? Whatever they call them? What? But people don't talk a lot these days about archangels. Even Bigfoot is more popular than archangels. And the idea of archangels of being that other thing, shapeshifters. Saint Raphael, man. Shapeshifters. Jesus. Sometimes he appeared as a child. How many other things has he appeared as? If we're New Testament folk, then we look back on Old Testament and we're like, yeah, that was Jesus. That was Jesus. That's the thing, man. Jesus came in and out of time. Before you were, I am. At the resurrectional moment, Jesus became completely 100% atemporal. Everywhere, all at once. Every when. Every which way. Back on track. Saint. Sanctus. Sancti. Santi. Santa. The best. The saved of the saved. Diamonds. In a forging. Heaven. The eternal of the eternal. The born again, eternal. A new heaven, a new earth. We want to go to heaven. Is heaven eternal? We are eternal and we are heaven. If we become eternal. It is a little bit of a circular argument. If we get to heaven, we're the eternity of eternity. We are all eternal in time. But the goal of heaven is to be eternal in a temporalism, eternal in eternity. Differentiated, yet completely immersed. It's hard to talk about things that happen here. It's hard to talk about things that happen here. Michael. The way I remembered about what I wanted to talk about today was to just remember four names in 5 or 6 or 7 places. Michael. So when I say Michael, what do I mean? I mean saint. Saint! Sancti, sanctus. All that shit. Saint. Michael. Miguel. Michelangelo. Michael. Saint. Archangel. 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 Now, according to Jesus, I believe, when we die, we become like the angels. We are no longer husbands and wives. Husbands and wives are an earthly sacrament, an earthly bond, a sacred, physical, corporeal bond that is real. I don't want to say because its magic is real, like the sacrament, the sacrimony, the sacrament of marriage is real because the magic is real. The theurgy is real. The teleology is real. The pole of the future, of the moral, innocent, convicted want of the future. Innocent in its desire, but wise and old in its wisdom. The teleological want is very old. The teleological want of the future, like the future is our collective younglings, right? My branch dies, but from where my branch dies, because I have no children that I know of, but like my branch dies, but from my dying perch, I'm freed. I'm freed from the want to grow further in my direction because I recognize my direction is shit. Where I've come from needs to die. So from that place where I'm suspended, no longer giving growth, I don't need to expend resources upon my offspring because I don't have any. But that does free me up. It's like accidental asceticism, accidental monasticism. I'm an accidental monastic, kind of like that old movie, Accidental Tourist. I'm an accidental monastic. Before I go further, we might as well, reference the incense. Why do we light incense? Maybe it's because we stink. It's not even that secret of knowledge that, like, that's one of the reasons why incense is burnt in churches, is such that the poor and rich can gather together, and the poor people don't have to worry about the rich people's perfumes and ointments that give off a pleasant smell. Because when you're poor and decrepit, like, the pleasant smells of perfumes, colognes, and ointments, like, if you're poor and all you smell is shit, when you smell all that expensive shit, it turns you off. And all the people who are able to cleanse their skin, make themselves smell nice, wash off all that bacteria and fungus among us. All the people who do that, they smell nice all the time, every day. And when they get around someone who smells stank, it turns them off. So when you go into a church, right now, it's not one of the reasons that the church or the churches or the greater church talks about. But it is absolutely, like, almost a primary fact. Or even the incense almost precedes the church, the cleansing of the air of the surroundings, the dulling of the senses so that other senses can be accentuated. What do I mean? The poor people don't smell the rich people's perfume when all they can smell is that fucking goddamn incense all up in their shit. The poor people can't smell the rich people's perfume. So that way of separation it's magic. It's physical, practical magic. When you light that incense, and that incense is so stank, and that incense is so powerful, and it fills every crevice of everything around you, the stanky people can't smell the rich, anointed people. And those folks can't smell the stanky poor folks. Of course, then we're subjected to just the visual, because it's like all that incense in the church is just wafting in us, and it's like, so I can't smell how stinky you are to the stinky people, and the stinky people can't smell how rich you smell, how nice, like flowers. I never smell flowers. My life is unflowery. And I'm pissed that you're able to have so much luxury that you're able to have flowers. You know? And I pave roads. So I spend 14 hours a day during the nicest part of the year on the road, getting baked in the sun with no shade. And then it's winter, when there are no flowers, no leaves, no nothing. I mean, that's just one way of looking at it. Very truncated way, but there's some truth to it. But if we go to a incense-filled church, you can't smell my BO. You can't smell that tar that is seeped into every fucking pore of my body. No matter how many times I wash my clothes, no matter how many times I wash my shirt, I can't get that oil, that tar, that resin, that asphalt, that grit, that dirt. I can't get that stink out of me. Doesn't matter when we're drowning in incense. And if you live a more plush life, right? Like, that's the thing that people don't talk about, man. Poor people shouldn't hate rich people, man. Think of Nicodemus. One of the beautiful things about Nicodemus is, well, okay, I'm talking about the version of Nicodemus from the show, The Chosen. Like, he didn't become a disciple. He didn't become an apostle. He kept his position. Yet he honored his wife, and he made the day. He made that day. His whole life wasn't about being an apostle. His whole life wasn't about being a whole book. But he made that day when he gave that gold and he funded the situation. He made the fucking day. And you know because it's happened in your life, and I know because it's happened in my life. Most of the time, I don't know if things are smooth sailing or not, but we get periods of smooth sailing. And then it's like all of a sudden, like, I got to figure this particular thing out today and get it solved, right? And there's this other thing that I have to have figured out by tomorrow. There's this other thing I have to have figured out by like 5 days from now. 7 days from now, there's that other thing. And I know I'm already forgetting things that I'll have to deal with along the way. And other even more important things that are coming up right after that. Like, that's life. And it's a fucking miracle that people who live paycheck to paycheck are able to navigate this lifelong. It's a fucking miracle, man. Michael, Peter, Thomas, what was the third one? Or the second one? Michael, Peter, Thomas, Solomon. I remembered those three names so that I could, oh yeah, the whole idea of incense also, what they say, right? So I was just speaking to the truth of the incense. The poor people can't hate, because when we smell things, it's just, it's more powerful. It's more powerful than almost any other sense. When we smell something, it just, the triggers are almost unbreakable. So when a poor person smells perfumes, they're turned off. And when a well-off person smells funk, whether that funk is human or industrial, because a lot of people have jobs where the stink of what they do seeps into them. I've had many of those types of jobs. I have one of those types of jobs, where we become nose blind to our own industry. Where was I going with that? I can't remember. But yeah, I just wanted to remember what I was going to say. So Michael. So Michael's symbol is a spear. Right? So now this I'm calling a Thomas cross. Thomas Didymus. St. Thomas. St. Thomas the Apostle, not St. Thomas Aquinas. I'm pissed off that if you Google St. Thomas, 9 out of 10 results, 99 out of 100 results is St. Thomas Aquinas. Show some fucking respect. St. Thomas Didymus, St. Thomas the Apostle, St. Thomas the Twin, Thomas, St. Thomas, Bishop of India. Show some respect, that's all. So respect, we showed it. We're all cool with Aquinas and everything, but yeah, so the spear. So this is made out of 4 spears. I made this, it's so simple. So this is a revolutionary. This is an exclusive. The symbol is exclusive to this moment, to my channel, and you're witnessing of it whenever you may be, whenever you are. And in that gap between time, between you and me, and space. But yeah, I got 4 spears here because word on the street is that St. Thomas was killed with a spear, but some traditions say St. Thomas was killed with 4 spears. So, of course, I have a dominant spear, and then I have 3 lesser spears. Then we get a whole east-west thing going, which is kind of a little bit like, so you got, Christ. It's like, then when you get all these different directions going in, then you get like Thomas, Paul, Peter. But the whole thing about Thomas is the symbol all along was the rainbow. The whole Christian world is in an uproar over the rainbow as a symbol for it used to be a symbol for like gay pride, what used to be called gay pride. But like, the rainbow has become associated with like gay people, lesbian people, trans people, etc., etc., etc. And after the whole I'm not sure, I guess it wasn't necessarily after Vatican II, but kind of, sort of. Like whatever happened with the Catholic Church in the 50s and 60s, it's like you already have every symbol. There is no prominent, important symbol that does not have a rich history in the Catholic Church. The rainbow had for years and years and years, the rainbow had belonged symbolically, well, within the common culture, within everyday society, the rainbow, the most beautiful fucking thing in the world, had belonged to everybody. But if it could be assigned to anybody 50 years ago, 100 years ago, if it could be assigned to anybody, plus back further than that, St. Thomas, Bishop of India. There's a small outpost in India established by St. Thomas 2,000 years ago. A tiny population of Christians have existed there for 2,000 years. Waiting. Just waiting. Holding the ground. Just waiting. Thomas came, Jesus said to his disciples, to his apostles, you know, you'll do these things and greater things. Right? Jesus came again. Does that, well, and we know he's coming again. He didn't say if he'd come again after that. How about his apostles? Is Thomas coming again? Yes. You think when Jesus comes back, he's coming back alone? Wait. You think he ever left? It's taken me 26 minutes just to get to the really simple thing I wanted to say about right, so I just said that thing about the rainbow. The symbol of the rainbow forever has been the symbol of Saint fucking Thomas. Somewhere over the rainbow. Yeah! Where Thomas is! The doubter. The doubter was given, besides Christ, the doubter was kind of given the biggest cross. The doubter was taken back and back and back through, Thomas went out to the Magi and came back. And then he went out to the Magi's and stayed. That's a big fucking deal, man. St. Thomas. And all these Protestant dummies. Now, I'm not officially Catholic, but I'm a Catholic. I'm a Protestant who's a Catholic protector. I'm looking to do the opposite inverse of what Luther did. Luther drove Catholics out of the church. For good reason, honestly. But now the pendulum's coming back. It's time for that. I can't remember what I was going to say about Protestant dummies. And if you're Protestant, I'm not calling you a dummy. But you're a Protestant. And if you're a Protestant, almost every dummy that you think is a dummy is a Protestant too. That's what I'm talking about. And you know what I'm talking about. And of course, if you, like me, look in the mirror, and then you might also say to yourself, oh yes, now I really know what I'm talking about. Fuck. But anyway, what I wanted to get to, alright, so we lost that symbol, right? What other symbol did we lose before that? In a lesser way and in a bigger way, in a weirder way. The upside down cross. Dummies. Idiots. Fools. Christian morons. Why do I say that? Because that's what I am. I'm someone who was more or less raised in the greater milieu of the Christian tradition, if poorly, but thank God for that, because it's better than nothing, But for 20 years of my life, 25 years of my life, the upside down cross meant Satan. When for 1800 years, 1900 years, the symbol meant Saint Peter. So within intellectual circles, so to speak, for 1800 years, within literary, scholastic, academic, philosophical, theological, etymological, philosophical, poetic societies, this symbol would have meant Saint Peter, the rock, Kephas, Cephas, the rock, that the church of God as the Son of God through Mary, the mother and daughter and wife of God, upside down cross. Peter. Not Satan. Peter. Except for then there's that time when Jesus says to Peter, what's it like? Get out of here, Satan. I don't know. Jesus said something like that to Peter. Get out of here, Satan. Sympathy for the devil. Hell is not eternal. Eventually, at the end of days, what people don't realize is that Satan will be saved. If you think I'm being a dipshit right now, you're right. If you think I'm just like some dipshit, Bible thumping hoe, you're right. Besides that, like, if you don't believe in the Bible at all, like, if you don't understand it is an incredibly important object, and then get into it, like, anyone who criticizes, I can't read the Bible. I can't read the whole Bible from beginning. I can't fucking do it. The Torah, here's what's the most destructive, awful part of the Torah. The Pentateuch. The first 5 books. The books of Moses. They're fucking terrible. The Torah is the most soul-crushing meat grinder. I mean, it's a fucking meat